Right, here we are. I went away and I played Tribes of Midgard a little bit more as I promised because I wanted to give it at least a fair chance. The best way I can describe this game at the moment is if they have taken a Warcraft 3 custom game and tried to slap some AAA paint onto it. It is almost so close to being a fun experience. It just feels like the balance in it is just completely out of whack. So let's start on problem number 1, which I think a lot of you will probably want to know about, which is the multiplayer server experience. Currently, as it stands, you can only play 2 single instances of the game. One of these is single player, the other is multiplayer. Why this is rubbish is because if you start a multiplayer game, you are then trapped in that multiplayer game until you finish or destroy it. This means that you cannot start a second game and play with a separate group of friends. You all either have to dive into the same world or none at all. And from my experience as well, if you decide that you want to continue that world, the matchmaking system won't even bring people into your world for you to continue to play. And even if it would be irrelevant at that point because your world would be at a point that new players can't join because they would be too far behind. So currently, if you do want to play, get as many people as you can into that game and play for as long as you possibly can, because after that the world is irrelevant unless you get that same group of people to go back into that world and play at a later date. Now, I don't know if it was my fault for not understanding their marketing or the fact that their marketing was just a little bit off in terms of how they're describing the game, but a lot of people going into this are expecting some sort of Valheim top-down ARPG experience. This game is about as similar to Valheim as Marmite is to Nutella. The only overlapping piece is the thematics. If you are looking for a game that it is similar to, I would suggest Risk of Rain, with that same cycle of collecting enough souls or energy to basically upgrade yourself to fight off the next wave of bosses. My next issue is that they've given you this beautiful world to explore, and it is a beautiful game. It looks really good, but they give you absolutely no time to do anything in it. You have the option to pick up quests, to explore, to go off wandering and collect resources and check out all the different enemies. But by the time you get anywhere, and I mean anywhere, you explore a little bit, you have to go back and defend your base. And this endless loop just isn't all that fun. I don't want to spend most of my time running backwards and forwards like some sort of boomerang. And while there are some travel mechanics to take some of the pain away, it still, at the end of the day, doesn't make it any less fun. And then let's move on to the matchmaking system. I don't know what the matchmaking system is based on. I'm presuming level of your character, because aside that, I have really no idea how it groups you together. It feels like it just grabs a few players and throws them into some proverbial blender. For a game where you have to make relatively quick decisions and very short time windows to do it in, they just feel like utter chaos. There's no game mechanics to centralize what everyone is doing, and you just end up with a feeling where you just want to either play it with your friends or on your own. And if you play it on your own, well, you'll soon come to realise that this is a game where you need people to even stand a chance to be remotely successful. There were other gripes as well. The combat system doesn't really know what it's doing with itself. You put in dodge rolling and parrying, but the fights are so short you don't even really bother using them. And when you come to defending the enemies at night, you don't really spend yourself dodging them, you're just holding down the auto attack button until everything is dead. I also don't think they've been too original with some of the asset designs as well. In fact, I would even go as far as saying they've ripped some of them straight out of Don't Starve. If you have a look at the twigs, for example, they do look rather familiar. I also don't like the fact that the game feels like if you're not constantly gathering resources, then you are going to lose. It feels like you are given little time to actually breathe in the world that they have created. I think the problem with this game is that it is just trying to do too much, and it's not doing any of it well. If you compare it to games like Valheim, which it is not like in any way whatsoever, you would see that if there was an emphasis on just creating an enjoyable world with an enjoyable mechanics, then things like a season pass and a loot store could have been put in at a later date when you actually had the respect of its community. Anyway, to iterate it again, if you are looking for something that is a Valheim survival-esque style game, then look elsewhere. I can't even blame it on it being early access at the moment, because by all accounts it is a full release. Anyway, I'm left a little bit disappointed, but there are plenty of good games coming out through the rest of the year, which of course we'll do some reviews on. But for now, I hope you found this helpful. Have a great day, and I'll see you all soon.